Okay, let's get started here. What's up, everybody? Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. We've got a really fun video for you today, and one of our dear friends, Stephanie Stitches. Now, if you guys don't know her quite yet, she's a YouTuber, blogger, online quilt shop owner, along with many other things. So without further ado, Stephanie Stitches.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Good to see you all.
We've been friends now for a couple of years, right? We've done YouTube together a little bit. When did you find us versus us finding you? I don't remember how that worked out here.
Yeah, I found you guys a little bit into the pandemic. I think kind of like a lot of other people were at home, couldn't really go to quilt shops, so that's kind of how it came about. Plus, I'm on the YouTube, and you guys were too. So it was like one of those things that was a suggestion that came up,
Absolutely. Well, then you were just at the beginning stages of YouTube, right?
At
that place. Let's just dive right on into this. How long have we been a quilter, or how did we get into the quilting scene? And then we'll go into the YouTube side of it here in a minute.
Sure. So I've been a quilter for almost 20 years, but I've actually been sewing since I was 6 years old. My grandmother was a garment sewer and taught me how to sew from when I was a little child. I sewed doll clothes and things like that. But I really didn't like garment sewing, and I thought really that was all there was to sewing. As I got older and went through home ec in high school, and another one of my relatives got into quilting, but at that time I was like, oh, quilting's for old ladies, right?
Right.
I didn't get too interested in it until I was in my mid to late 20s, and then I got bit by the bug hard, and I haven't stopped since. So
how many quilts do you estimate you've made?
Oh gosh, not too many early on. Early on, I probably only made 1 or 2 a year, but now I make upwards of 25 to 30 a year at least.
Jeez. Well, you're a quilter then, a real time quilter, right? Professional quilter. That's how you got into the quilting industry. But then when did YouTube kick off?
Well, actually, I started my YouTube because I was doing a little bit of work for a friend on Facebook who had a quilting shop, and I was just running her Facebook group for her, and then one day she's like, oh, I want to do a sew along. Would you mind doing a tutorial? And I was like, well, how am I going to do that to get it out to the masses, right?
Right.
And she's like, well, YouTube. And that kind of started it for me. So I did it on her channel first, and then I transitioned to my own channels. Yeah.
Well, and then how long have we been doing YouTube now? Because I know that we just crossed 13,000 subscribers. Congratulations on that. That's a feat.
Thank you. Almost 3 years. This summer will be 3 years of my own channel. So
3 years. Isn't it weird how it changes? Like, you went from nobody knowing you to all of a sudden you're a face in the industry. People know you.
Yes, it's a little different, especially in particular. I don't know if we're going to talk about your retreat at all, but when I came to your retreat, I was just kind of a little surprised how many people knew me. And I actually had one person who kept turning around looking at me, and I finally said, hi, I'm so-and-so. And she's like, I'm fangirling. That's why I haven't said hello.
Right.
It was so cute.
Well, we have to know now. Have we been stopped at a Walmart or an airport or anything like that yet?
Yes, I have actually. Actually, on the way to your retreat, I was sitting on the airplane and somebody walked by and she said, "Hi, it's you." And I was like, "Okay,
right."
who are you?" And then she told me her name and that she was coming to the retreat as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
If someone was going to start a YouTube channel today, what advice would you give them?
Oh, that's a tough one because everybody's so different. Just relax and be yourself. I think that's the hardest part for especially somebody like me. Give yourself some grace because it'll take time to get used to being on camera, not be so nervous. I've kind of gotten over that hump now and I'm pretty comfortable with it. And also you'll start getting comments from people, and just make sure you don't take, especially the negative ones, to heart, because that can be difficult. On the flip side, you have some great, wonderful, amazing people that you're going to meet ahead of you. So remember that part.
Well, and I love how you touched on the latter part there of like, for every one sour that you get in your life, there's 10,000 in this industry that are just amazing people that you can collaborate with and work with, and they make amazing quilts.
Those are the people that keep you going. So
absolutely. For you, was there ever a time when you're like, this isn't worth it?
No, you know why? Because it's not about subscribers to me. I'm so humbled and honored that I have what I have right now. I truly love this craft. So I would do it if I had 100 subscribers or if I had 10,000 subscribers.
There's a lot of different reasons why influencers exist, right? The love of the craft, the business of the craft. And even on that note there, you have a wonderful slogan, right? Or motto here. I'm going to botch this, aren't I?
You're fine. Go ahead.
Quilting with kindness and grace. Love that.
I feel like it takes less time to be kind to somebody than it does to take to be mean to somebody. So there's no reason and there's no need for it in this industry, because this industry is all about making beautiful homemade things to give to people. And to me, there's no room for any negativity in that. So
anyone who's watching us that's in the quilting side of things or even the sewing side of things, 95% of everything we make is given away to somebody, right?
Right.
Now, you have a online.com, right? Or are we Etsy only?
Well, I have both because I have a retreat business and a fabric business and a long arm. So I've got lots of hats.
Well, let's talk about your retreat business, because you recently just came to one of our retreats. I've heard you've got great retreats yourself, and not only that, it's quite the wait list to try to get into these things. So tell us a little about your retreats, because I know you have one in Washington, Pennsylvania, and Georgia this year.
Actually, I have one in Ohio, which is coming up this weekend, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
Washington State, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And the only one I have any openings for is in Pennsylvania. And it's just because two of the gals who were going to come had things come up and they had to cancel. Right. Other than that, I'm sold out at every retreat and I have a wait list at every retreat, which is just amazing.
Amazing.
Mine are a little bit different than yours. Yours is a fairly large size retreat, which was great. That it's just a different style than mine. The one in Ohio here is the largest one I have. It's 24, but all the rest are 16. And awesome. I'm one person. You guys have a whole team, which is I'm jealous of, and I think that's great. But it's just me, so I can't really handle more than that because that's a lot of people to take care of and make sure they're happy, right? So. Well,
but you have a give and take here, right?
Yeah.
You get to be way more, I would say the right word is like intimate, in the sense of you get way more time with each individual person, which is an amazing style to do retreats and a reason why you're always selling out here. But continue on there.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And that's one of the things that I love about the retreats is that I get to meet all these amazing people that have been kind and supporting me on YouTube, and they come to my retreats and I get to build a further relationship with them in person. So it's great. I love it.
How did you get started in the hosting of retreats, and how many retreats have you done up to this point?
I had been to a few retreats and I thought I'd like to have one here closer to home because all the ones I'd been to were pretty far away from me. I was gone to Alabama, I've been to your retreat in Vegas and other parts of the country, and I live right here in Ohio in around Amish country. I'm not quite in Amish country, but pretty close. A lot of them are quilters and they hand quilt, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But they run quilt shops because there's so many of them that quilt and sew. And so in our area, there's about 15 quilt shops within 20 miles because of that. And I thought, what better place to have a retreat than right here where I can say, come to my retreat, but also go play at all these shops.
Right. That is awesome. And so, how many have you hosted up to this point?
I've hosted 6. And this weekend will be 7. Yep. And then I've got 3 more this year after that. So
well, you're well seasoned at that point. We've learned we're up to like 2 retreats now that we've done.
Yeah.
First of all, no one realizes how much work goes into these things. Whew,
right.
Way more than what you think.
It doesn't matter if you've done 2 or if you've done 10. You learn something from every single one. So.
Absolutely. Give us a little rundown of what a normal retreat looks like. That way, if anyone's interested, go ahead and support Stephanie here, guys.
So I'll give you a rundown sort of like this weekend. So each retreat, except for the Georgia retreat, which is my New Year's retreat, that's a UFO whip retreat. So you can finish up those projects that you have from the year and you don't want to carry into the new year.
The ones you said you were going to do, but you never did, those
yes,
quilts, we all have them.
But all the other retreats, I actually write an original pattern for a quilt pattern. We do the whole quilt and usually 2 other small projects, whether it be a zipper bag or a wall hanging or something like that. And I teach all of those projects. Those smaller projects might not necessarily be original, but every time I do a quilt at a retreat, those are all original patterns. So it lets me be a little creative and kind of use some of my retreaters as guinea pigs to test out my patterns. But I just love it. And they're usually about 4 days. I try to find places that are retreat centers. So you are right there. We eat meals together. We sew together. A lot of people stay in their pajamas all day, which is a lot of fun. So it's a great fun thing to do. And I feel like I'm kind of sort of building a little bit of a quilting community because a lot of people that have come to my retreats have come by themselves and then they go home and they go home with 5, 6, 7 new friends. So it's great.
You're kind of the jack of all trades here, right? Because you're teaching, you're cooking, you're facilitating, you're entertaining. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. Obviously, I haven't been to one quite yet, but I could see the fun in that. I've seen a lot of retreats where it's just go out and sew and that's the retreat. As opposed to one of yours is way more intimate and you get to know you and also all the fun things that you do, which is an incredible thing. And you said you had 2 spots remaining in Pennsylvania in September?
Yeah, that's it too.
So,
yeah.
so let's say somebody watching this right now says, hey, I want to check out Stephanie's Retreats here. Where do they go to get that?
Together we sew quiltingretreats.com. So, and if you Google it, I'm the only person who has a name, something like that. So you can easily find me.
Make sure that you guys support Stephanie. She's an amazing, amazing person. Let's talk about you a little bit further here. Born and raised in Ohio or moved there? What's the story there? How do we land there?
Yeah, actually I was born and raised here in Ohio. I have lived other parts of the country. I lived in Indiana for a couple of years. I lived in Oklahoma for a couple of years. And then I actually lived in Arizona for several years.
We were neighbors.
In Mesa. And after my grandparents passed, my husband's job was here in Ohio, so we came back to Ohio.
Awesome. Husband with 4 children. Well, what's the ages there? I've got 3 of my own, so.
We have a daughter who's 14, and then we have 3 boys, so our house can be a little bit loud and crazy.
Right.
Who are 10, 5, and 3.
Oldest is the daughter, right? So is she mini mom? Has she facilitated that?
She's great. I wouldn't be able to do these retreats without her because she runs the house while I'm gone, I'm telling you.
Right? How do you find time for all of this? Because we're wife, mother, online store, retailer, retreats, influencer. We need like a snapshot of the day in the life of you.
So I really don't sleep a whole lot, to be honest.
Right.
I probably get about literally only 4 hours of sleep a night because I get up pretty early in the morning. I sew early in the morning before they get up. I sew late at night or do shop orders or long arm late at night. During the day, I'm taking care of them. We also homeschool our children, so add another layer in there. So once they get up, I stop sewing. We start school. In the afternoon while the little kids are taking a nap. Then I might come down and do a few things, shoot a video, something like that. And then when they're up, I go back upstairs, make dinner, and then we finish out the homework for the day. And yeah.
She's just a rock star is what it comes down to. You're just a rock star when it comes down to it, right? Obviously it's a juggle, right? Parenting, that's just called juggling.
A struggle, like where do you put your time,
right?
But you just have to kind of figure it out. And that's been the biggest struggle of all this in the last couple of years. But I've gotten a pretty good schedule down, so. At
the end of the day, in my life, and I'm sure it's yours too here, is like, that's the only thing that matters, right? Family.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Absolutely.
Doesn't mean you should not pursue things that you love as well, right? And I'm sure the mini mom, right, your oldest daughter, is going to help facilitate retreats in 3 years from now. When she's 16, 17 years old.
Yes, and actually she's already coming to Washington State with me this year, not only as a little thank you to her for helping us, is because she does help out a lot, but just so she can see what they're all about. And she loves to sew too, so I'm really excited that she's going to come with me. The best way to get the next generation to sew is start teaching them, okay? Yeah. Whether that's your child, grandchild, great-grandchild, bring it a part of their life. And understand there's a huge learning curve. Be patient with them. They will learn this. They're interested because even my 3-year-old, he comes down to my sewing space. I'll be sewing and he'll wait for me to tell him, and then he'll push the button to cut the thread. I mean, it's just little things like that he's watching now. I think someday he might pick it up. So well, absolutely, and this is such an amazing industry in the sense of we're just this very, very small portion in the quilting side of this industry, but there's upholstery, there's bag making, there's clothing, curtains. Make sure you are teaching as many people as you can how to sew or offering your services to teach them how to sew, because you don't know, it might land them a job in 5 years from now or 10 years from now. But while we're on our craft here, got some rapid fire questions for you. So very first one, favorite pre-cut? Fat quarter bundle. Next one, favorite brand or fabric brand? Moda. Favorite designer? Ooh, Corey Yoder. Next one here, what's your favorite notion, like the ride or die can't live without notion? The Acorn Easy Press precision piecing pen. I love it. I have no idea what that is. I know. Do you happen to have one close to you? Let's see what this thing is. So this is a pen that gets filled with a liquid that is kind of like Best Press, but it's a concentrated version. You take off the end, you press this on your seams, you iron your seams, and they're flat as a pancake. It has changed my piecing game. Okay, that's actually, I've never seen that. We'll have to hook up after this, and you tell me where to get those, because I need to try that myself, right? Next question here is your favorite sewing machine? My Janome 1600 feet.
Janome 1600P, that's a straight stitch only, right?
Stitch, I love it.
Great machine. Favorite brand of long arming?
Probably Handy Quilter.
Handy Quilter. Next one, favorite influencer?
Can I say Sew Yeah?
I mean, you know.
Let's see. I like the typical that everybody does. Jenny Doan's great. You know, a lot of people learn from her, but Mom and Pop Quilt Shop for a smaller one.
Ooh,
so
Mom and Pop, I love them too. Favorite pattern, like quilting pattern?
Ohio Stars.
Ohio Stars. Well, I guess that goes with the territory.
I love any kind of stars, but Ohio Stars is my favorite to make, and I can whip one up in 5 minutes. So
that's amazing. There. Is there a pattern or a designer, either one, that you always find yourself going towards?
I really love Lella Boutique's patterns, but there's so many good ones. Like it would be really hard to pick one, but I really like to write my own patterns, honestly.
That leads us right into that. You're pattern writer, and I believe we also offer, I don't know if it's the right name to call it, a subscription box or a quarterly box, something to that effect. Tell us a little bit about that, and you're the writer and designer of this, so go ahead.
So I have Stephanie Stitch's project box. I usually do it once a quarter, but this year, the way everything's working out, it's only going to be 3 times this year. It's not a subscription box like a typical subscription box. I just put it on my Etsy shop when it's available. I write the pattern, get all the fabrics from usually Moda or Riley Blake, and I put a couple notions in there, another venue or another chance for me to be creative, right?
Absolutely. And then you mentioned your Etsy shop. Where can we find you?
Name is Stephanie Supply Shop.
Stephanie Supply Shop. So guys, if you're interested into her boxes, which are, you say quarterly or somewhere around there, make sure you're checking out her Etsy as well. While we're on this subject though, walk us through your creative design process of one of these boxes.
Okay, so usually it starts with fabric. Like I'll see a fabric that I really love, and I'll look for it for a season. Like right now, spring, so I have my spring box is just coming out. So I found fabrics that I thought looked springy, and I take that fabric and I start formulating an idea for a pattern. I'm more of a traditional quilter than a modern. I do like modern fabrics, but not so much modern quilts. So most of my quilts are more traditional, and I'm inspired by, you know, old blocks that maybe I can use and make them more modern with more modern fabrics. So that's typically where my head's at.
How do we finish it all off?
I usually include a large spool of Aurifil thread, and then I put another notion that will help you finish the project.
Absolutely. Just for everyone back home there, it's like, it's a process, right?
Yes.
People just think we whip these out like, oh yeah, we're a year out. It's like, no, this takes time, right? And coordination between things. And
you have to look at the fabrics when it's time to order them, which you know is 6 to 9 months before you need them, right? And that's without delays. Like this, my latest box, I was hoping to have it out about a month ago, but I was waiting for thread because thread has been delayed lately. It's just part of what's going on in the world right now. So it's a lot of work that you all don't see on your end. We have to plan so far ahead, and like this pattern I wrote for this one, it's been written for 9 months. So
right?
Yeah.
It's tough sometimes. And on the subject of being tough here, how do you stay motivated? Are we losing the flair of quilting because it's turning more business? Like, how are you keeping yourself motivated here?
Most shop owners probably go through a period where like, oh, I just don't want to do this today, right?
Right.
I stay motivated because I really, truly love this. I love quilting. It's my passion. And when I'm getting a little bit demotivated, I put everything away for the business for at least a day, and I try to just work on something of my own. Doing something of my own really helps bring me back to, oh, okay, I really do love this. Then get that little bit of sewing of my own thing, and then can go back to the business stuff. So yeah.
With the business side of this here, has there been any memorable quilting experiences that due to business you've been able to experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely meeting people that I've met, you guys, and I got to go to Quilt Market this last year and meet all kinds of designers, and that was so fun. It was a really great time. And then quilting, I've had companies reach out to me and ask me to sew projects for them on YouTube, and that's been great too. So I get to see amazing quilts because I quilt for other people with my long arm business, and so I constantly see new quilts, which also helps give me new ideas. So it's great.
Well, and I love that you've touched on the idea side of this, of just that, let's be honest, pretty much 99.9% of all quilts have been created already, right?
Absolutely.
Like, somebody in history's created this quilt a million times over.
The way you change it up is what fabrics you pick and how you mix up the blocks and things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the change in things can simply just be a color palette change.
Right.
And it makes the quilt look so much more different.
Somebody that you might know, Not Your Mama's Garden Fabric.
Oh.
I don't know who that designer was.
Right.
Another YouTuber asked me to do a collab and ended up bringing 4 of us together. We all used your fabric. We all used different backgrounds, and it changed the look of the quilt. We used the same pattern, your fabric, but we all picked a different background color. Changed the look of each quilt completely. So,
well, and that's the crazy
really
thing
fun.
is you guys had the same designer, and even within the same designer, you can get wild changes in between them, which is absolutely amazing.
Like you were saying, just one little palette change can change everything. So yeah.
As we're going on here into the industry side of things, in the last 3 years, what have you seen change in our industry? And also, where do you think it's going, or what's your future projections of the industry?
Well, what I've seen change, I think, is a lot more online buying. I think that a lot of manufacturers are going to eventually go more direct to consumers for those of us who do have shops, and we have to evolve with that. So
absolutely. And where do you see yourself here in the next, let's call it 3 to 5 years?
Hopefully I'll, keep on going with my channel, just keep growing a little at a time. I'm happy with that, and get to partner with great people like you. I mean, when you get to partner with people like that, it makes your heart happy. And I hope I just get to keep doing things like that and get to keep long arm quilting and doing the things I love. And
that's so kind of you to say. And you are one of the most humble people that I've ever met. My prediction for you is that in the next 3-ish years, you're gonna be 50, 80, 100,000 subscribers. I bet you're gonna have a fabric line coming out with you if that's what you choose to go into. You're a designer, you have a much needed skill set in our industry, and you're absolutely amazing of a person. We're gonna get into a little bit of the, I guess the spicy side of things, more of the controversial side of things here. What's your unpopular opinion in the industry? Do you have like an unpopular opinion on a designer, notion, anything like that?
Well,
here we go.
One of the things I do think is a little overrated that everybody talks about and everybody asks me all the time, why don't you use this, is a clapper.
Okay.
Don't hate on me. I use that precision piecing pen, and so I don't find that I need the clapper, and it's just one more thing that takes up space in my small space that I don't need.
Gotcha. Which I think is a fair comment there. I'm on the other side of the bias here, right? I'm a clapper user at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I'm totally willing to venture and try your product to see. Next one here is, do you think there's a brand that is a little bit too overhyped in our industry?
Yes, but I don't think I want to mention it.
Now, somebody in the industry that's a smaller individual, right? Designer, pattern maker, YouTuber, whoever it is, is like the hidden next star in your mind here?
Well, a lady who actually just started working for Moda, but she's been designing patterns for a while on her own. Her name is Sarah Maxwell. I don't know if you know her.
I do not. New name to me.
She is, I believe, the new education or creative director or something like that at Moda, but her patterns are amazing.
Okay.
She's doing so long right now with Moda I think it's called Glimmer and Gleam with Grunge, and it's just beautiful. And I think once more people get to know her and know her patterns, they're gonna love her.
Sarah Maxwell. So everyone look out for those patterns, okay? Next big star coming out here. What is your favorite basic that you're always using? And if you're willing to say, what's one that you're kind of shy away from?
My favorite, I've got a couple favorites. Can I say a couple?
Yeah, go for it.
I love grunge. I use grunge a lot. I absolutely love grunge, and I actually like, for the more girly side, I like Riley Blake's Blossom.
You may know this, and you've probably figured this out by now. That is Christopher Thompson.
Right. Yeah.
Makes that.
Christopher Thompson is one of my favorite designers. I really like him.
Now, listen, I love that dude. He's amazing, right? In my opinion, he's one of these secret designers, or these designers that no one knows about.
I feel like he's underrated, very much so.
Every time Riley Blake comes out with a line, and I'm flipping through, and I'm like, oh, this one's really pretty. Who designed this? It's always him. It's always him.
Thompson, yes.
And so what's some that we shy away from personally?
So I personally shy away from like a basic Kona.
Kona cotton, okay.
I know people love it and there's value in it for those people, but I find that it frays a whole lot, so it's very frustrating for me to work with.
Right. One of my personal ones here, the knockoff grunge.
Yeah.
If you're gonna spend the money, Buy the grunge. Well, we have a saying here at Sew Yeah, we call it Dota Unge, right? These knockoffs that we see.
Yes.
2 more questions here. If you were able to collaborate with one company, party, individual, and it was like the person, who are you gonna collaborate with?
That's a tough one. I would really love to do something with Rob Appel.
Rob Appel. He's a great dude. Love Rob.
Amazing. I just love his energy, his spirit. I think he's great.
Now listen, Rob, if you happen to see this, right? Stephanie Stitches, make that happen. My last question for you here. If you had to rate top 5 quilt stores in America, what are your top 5? Obviously yourself, that's number 1, so, you know.
Okay, so I can count myself? All
Yes.
right, well, since I have to count myself, I really wouldn't. But I love you guys. I love Sew Yeah. I love Missouri Star for the fact that they have a lot of things to pick from. There's a smaller shop in Washington State that I discovered when I was there called Over the Rainbow, and they are such amazing, good people, and they have so much fabric. They're great. I love them. Stitch in Heaven.
Stitch in Heaven, great company.
I know another one that's smaller that I really love because their customer service is great, called Pastry Shop Quilts.
Pastry Shop Quilts. Where are they located? That way we know which one. In Texas. And that's really what makes the entity of a quilt store, is the people behind it and the ones that are facilitating it. So Stephanie, we don't want to take up your entire day here. I'm sure we could talk forever because you're an absolutely amazing person here. But before we go, let's just make sure that we plug in all of your things here. So let us know what your Facebook, Instagram, all your platforms there.
Okay, you can find me Stephanie Stitches on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube. I'm Quilting with Stephanie Stitches. And then, like we said earlier, my retreat business is Together We Sew Quilting Retreats. You'll find me in any of those places. So, yeah.
Well, and you've been absolutely amazing to talk to. And guys, you guys don't know this on that end. We actually talk outside of work. You know, she's an absolutely amazing person and quilter here. But make sure you like and subscribe on all of Stephanie Stitch's platforms there. You won't regret it. I mean, the worst case scenario is you're going to see amazing quilts and amazing ways to do things. Like, it's a win-win for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And it's just been a joy to get to know all of you. So.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Now, let us know down in the comment section who you'd like us to interview next or collaborate with next. We want to meet new people and new friends in this industry. Not only that, while you're down there, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't be afraid to share with your friends. And until next time, we'll see you then.